Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Dr. Burns' TOEFL Show. Today, we will continue working on building grammar accuracy and speed for the TOEFL Writing Build-a-Sentence questions. Our grammar focus today is how to build direct questions. If you examine all 7 ETS sample sets for the Build-a-Sentence questions, you will quickly notice that indirect questions are the most common type. These are questions embedded in another clause and functioning as the object. ETS seems to favor them because they look more complex than simple sentences. That's why we have been practicing how to spot the usual patterns used in indirect questions. Today, however, we're moving to something simpler but equally important: direct questions. While they may seem easier, they can actually become tricky if your grammar foundation is not solid. In fact, direct questions are the second most common type used by TOEFL question writers. Here are some examples of direct questions. Many of them appeared in the ETS sample sets. Is there any possibility of me winning the race? Were you still waiting for me after all those years? Do you need to borrow any books? Did they serve any appetizers before the main course? Have you decided on a topic yet? Have you finished writing it? Could that have been you? Would you like to see another film by that director? What is the water temperature like this time of year? What kind of animal are you considering? What recipes will you learn? Which historical figure have you chosen to write about? Why have you chosen to move away from here? When do you expect to complete the new assignment? How much money do you need to buy those books? On which website were you able to find the download? As you can see, a direct question does not always begin with do. There are many different structures. Some questions begin with a form of the verb be. Others begin with do verbs. Some begin with have, and others begin with auxiliary verbs such as could, would, or will. There are also questions that begin with WH words such as what, why, when, which, and how. These can appear in different combinations. Some questions begin with only a WH word, while others begin with WH words combined with other nouns or adjectives, or even with a preposition. So today, we will make sure you understand all the grammar essentials needed to build direct questions with 100% confidence. First, let's start with the basics. What is a direct question? To understand direct questions, let's look at the direct question flowchart. Direct questions come in 2 types: yes-no questions and WH questions. English signals questions using inversion, meaning the auxiliary verb comes before the subject. The only exception is when a WH word is the subject itself. In that case, no inversion occurs. In all other situations, inversion is required. Given this, there are 2 key things you need to know for direct questions. 1. How to use auxiliary verbs correctly, and 2. How to use WH words correctly. Let's review how to use auxiliary verbs and WH words properly. 1. Auxiliary verbs. When forming direct questions, both yes-no questions and WH questions use inversion. The auxiliary verb comes before the subject. The only exception is when a WH word is the subject itself. In that case, no inversion occurs. The key step is to identify the type of auxiliary helping verb in the sentence. Auxiliary verbs are important because they are the verbs that can move before the subject to form a question. This change in word order is called inversion. There are 4 types of auxiliary verbs that can move before the subject. 1. Be auxiliaries. Forms is, are, am, was, were. Be verbs are special because they can always move to the front of a question, even when be is the main verb. Examples: statement, she is ready. Question, is she ready? Statement, they were late. Question, were they late? Statement, he is studying for the exam. Question, is he studying for the exam? Yes, with be verbs, simply invert the verb and the subject. 2. Do auxiliaries. Forms do, does, did. These are used when the sentence is in the simple present or simple past and there is no other auxiliary verb. Examples: statement, you understand the rule. Question, do you understand the rule? Statement, she likes the class. Question, does she like the class? Statement, they finished the assignment. Question, did they finish the assignment? Important, the main verb returns to its base form after do, does, did. Example, did she go? Not went.
3. Have auxiliaries. Perfect tense. Forms have, has, had. These auxiliaries move before the subject only when used in perfect tenses. After the auxiliary and subject, the past participle of the main verb follows. Examples: statement, they have completed the report. Question, have they completed the report? Statement, she has finished the essay. Question, has she finished the essay? Statement, they had left before the meeting started. Question, had they left before the meeting started? Warming, have is used for inversion only in perfect tenses. When have is the main verb, showing possession, we do not use inversion. Instead, we use do, does, did. Examples: statement, perfect tense, she has driven a car. Question, has she driven a car? Statement, possession, she has a car. Question, does she have a car? 4. Modal auxiliaries. Forms can, could, will, would, may, might, should, must. Modals naturally function as auxiliaries and move directly before the subject in questions. They can also combine with perfect or progressive tenses, and the modal is still used for inversion. Examples: simple, can you solve the problem? Simple, will she attend the lecture? Simple, should we review the grammar rule? Modal plus subject plus base verb. With perfect or progressive tenses: statement, you should be going. Question, should you be going? Statement, she would have gone to the party. Question, would she have gone to the party? Statement, he would have been sleeping. Question, would he have been sleeping? Yes, in all modal questions, the modal always comes first, followed by the subject, then the base verb, or auxiliary chain for perfect or progressive tenses. Now let's turn to what interrogative words, which are also essential for forming direct questions. These words fall into two main categories: interrogative pronouns and interrogative adverbs. We will begin with interrogative pronouns because they often function directly as part of the sentence structure. Interrogative pronouns replace a noun in a question. In other words, they stand in for a person, thing, or idea that we are asking about. The most common interrogative pronouns are what, which, who, whom, and whose. Because they replace nouns, they can function as the subject or the object of the sentence. One important point to remember is that interrogative pronouns can function as the subject of the question. When this happens, no inversion occurs. Normally, questions require inversion, meaning the auxiliary verb comes before the subject. But if the WH word itself is the subject, the sentence keeps the normal subject-verb order. For example, who called you yesterday? Here, who is the subject of the verb called, so no auxiliary verb or inversion is needed. Another example, what happened? In this case, what is the subject of the verb happened. However, interrogative pronouns can also function as the object of a sentence. When they are objects, the sentence does require inversion, and an auxiliary verb appears before the subject. For example, what did she write? Here, what is the object of the verb write, so we use the auxiliary did and inversion. Did she write? Another example, which did you choose? Again, which is the object, so we use the auxiliary did. Some interrogative pronouns, especially what and which, can also function as determiners. When they are used as determiners, they appear before a noun and help specify exactly what we are asking about. For example, what book did she choose? Which student will answer first? In these examples, what modifies book and which modifies student. Because the WH word is now describing a noun, the question becomes more specific. Finally, interrogative pronouns such as what and which can appear with prepositions. In formal English, the preposition may appear before the WH word. For example, about what are you reading? For which topic did she prepare a presentation? In everyday spoken English, however, the preposition often moves to the end of the question, which sounds more natural. For example, what are you reading about? Which topic did she prepare a presentation for?
2. Interrogative adverbs. Now let's move on to the second group of WH words called interrogative adverbs. In the previous section, we learned about interrogative pronouns. Those words replace nouns in a sentence. Interrogative adverbs work a little differently. Instead of replacing a noun, they modify the action in the sentence. In other words, they ask for information about place, time, reason, or manner. The most common interrogative adverbs are where, when, why, and how. Let's look at a few examples. Where did she go yesterday? Here, where asks about the place of the action. When will the meeting start? In this sentence, when asks about time. Why are they upset? The word why asks for the reason or cause. How did he solve the problem? And here, how asks about the method or manner. Because these words are adverbs, they usually modify verbs. That means they normally do not function as the subject or object of a sentence. However, the word how is special. It is much more flexible than the other interrogative adverbs. How and its combinations. The word how can combine with adjectives and other adverbs to form expressions such as how much, how many, how often, how long. These expressions allow us to ask questions about quantity, frequency, duration, or degree. But here's something interesting. Depending on the verb in the sentence, these phrases can sometimes cross grammatical boundaries. Sometimes they act like modifiers, and sometimes they behave more like noun phrases. Let's look at the different roles they can play. 1. The adverbial role, modifying the action. In many cases, these phrases simply modify the verb and give extra information about the action. For example, how often do you run? Here, often is an adverb that describes frequency, and how intensifies it. Together, how often forms an adverbial phrase that tells us how frequently the action happens. So the phrase modifies the verb run.
2. The adjectival role, describing a noun. Sometimes the phrase works more like an adjective, especially when it appears with a linking verb, such as be. For example, how long is the rope? In this sentence, long is a predicate adjective describing a property of the rope. The question is asking for a description of length, not an object. 3. The determiner role, quantifiers. Now let's look at how many and how much. The words many and much are determiners called quantifiers because they express amount or number. When combined with how, they directly modify nouns. For example, how much water did you drink? How many books do you want? In these sentences, how much modifies water, and how many modifies books. So here, the phrases function as determiners. 4. The noun role, acting like a noun phrase. Finally, these phrases can sometimes behave like noun phrases, especially with verbs related to measurement such as take, cost, last, or weigh. For example, how long does it take? To understand this, think about a possible answer. It takes 10 minutes. In that sentence, 10 minutes is a noun phrase functioning as the object of the verb take. When we form the question, how long replaces that noun phrase. In other words, how long occupies the noun slot in the sentence. The same thing can happen with how much and how many. For example, how much does it cost? How many do you want? Here, the phrases behave almost like pronouns, standing in for an unknown quantity. So, as we can see, how and its combinations are surprisingly flexible. Depending on the structure of the sentence, they can function like adverbs, adjectives, determiners, or even nouns. Now that we have covered both auxiliary verbs and WH words, you are ready to handle any sentence-building task involving direct questions. Okay, that's all the grammar you need to build direct questions. I also have a TOEFL Build-a-Sentence exercise video that focuses on the direct questions we worked on today. So check it out and see how easy it is now that you know the grammar for this type. Thanks so much for watching, and keep improving your English. See you next time.